Which camera are we talking to? Hi, welcome back to my channel. Oh my gosh, I've got too many cameras in here. I'm looking at this one. How's everybody doing today? Fabulous. Today I wanted to address another question that I get quite a bit, and that is in regards to computers. People ask, which computer do I need to start with voiceover or with narrating audiobooks? And the answer is very, very simple. You can use pretty much any computer that you want. However, there are some recommendations that I will give you to help you find the perfect computer if you don't already have one. If you already have one, there's a good chance that it already has everything you need to get started. You would just need, you would need a USB port if you're going to start with a USB mic. But more often than not, any kind of computer will have at least one or two. So what I'm going to show you in today's video are some of the computers that I have had and why I chose them. Well, granted, I started out with a laptop in the living room in the very beginning with just a Blue Yeti mic. And then I quickly realized that I needed a better space, that you know, I needed to move the laptop outside of my recording space because the fan was too loud, so on and so forth. So let me take you on my computer journey, and hopefully it'll help you select the right computer for your business. So let's get started. So here is my first laptop. This isn't the exact one, but it's pretty similar. Now, this laptop was an HP Pavilion, and it had a pretty decent processor in it. It did have 12 gigs of system memory. And I believe it had I think this is about right for the storage capacity that it had as well. And it worked just fine for me because it was portable. I could take it anywhere and record what I needed to record. However, I found that the fan noise was pretty high. And maybe it's just because I'm very particular about background noise. I did have the plugin from Waves NS1 that removed a decent amount of background noise, but it still distorted my voiceovers enough that I did not want it in the same room with me. So, what I did is that I bought some extra long cords after I set up my studio in my little storage closet here and just moved the laptop to outside of this room and then hooked up an external monitor to it so that I could run everything inside of my studio, but have the laptop outside of my studio so I could close the door and not have all of the fan noise. But that really didn't work out for me for very long either, because if you've ever seen my recording space video, and I'll put a card for you up above, I have a very small space outside my door to put a computer. And I didn't want anybody to step on my laptop or anything like that. So I was like, okay, well, now what? Now what do I do? So I decided to go hunting for a new computer. And I'm going to show you the one that I chose. So this was the next computer that I chose. This isn't the exact one, but this is what it basically was. It was an Intel NUC. What it is like a little mini tower. It has no place to put in a disk or anything like that, but it had all of the other IO that I needed. This is the front of it. And this thing is very, very small. Let me just say that it's maybe like 5 or 6 inches by 5 or 6 inches. It's very, very small. So you can fit it into small spaces. But this is the front of it. So it's got a couple of USB ports in the front. And then this is the back. So it had some additional USB ports in the back, as well as an HDMI to run my external monitor. And then it also had a Thunderbolt port. So, because I wanted to try to future proof this thing as much as I could, and I knew that I wanted a Universal Audio Apollo interface at some point, and I knew that it only worked with Thunderbolt connectivity. I know there are some USB versions, but apparently those versions didn't work very well with Windows. But once I went along, I started to think, well, even if I do have a Thunderbolt port, it's still going to have to run with Windows. So I don't know how well that's going to work either. However, the interface that I did end up purchasing did have a USB-C connectivity or a port. So I needed to have this USB-C port anyway for my interface. So this is what I went with. And the cool thing about these is that they're highly upgradable. Let me see if I can pull up a picture here. This doesn't really show you much. But inside this little unit, you can open up this box, and there's YouTube video after YouTube video on how to add RAM, how to add storage memory, how to upgrade these little things so they're just absolute powerhouses. And there's even a micro USB port over here too, and I didn't mention that. But this thing worked for me for a very long time. It paid for itself over and over and over again. And I think I had started with a 16 gig as well before knowing anything about anything. But it did work. It worked for a very long time. And then I would save a lot of my work to an external hard drive as well. The reason that I upgraded again from this little computer is that even though it's small and it doesn't really, it still made a very loud fan noise. It had a very loud fan. I mean, it was quiet, but for me, it was too loud to have in my room with me. So again, I moved it outside of my recording space, and that seemed to help. However, I still had this little tiny box that was sitting outside my door, and the cat would come down, and it still had the risk of my cat playing with it or someone stepping on it or something of that nature because it was so small. And then that's when I decided to really upgrade my computer game. I went to Digital Storm and found these amazing custom gaming computers, but they also make studio computers, studio workstations. And I just went absolutely nuts. I mean, look at this, 64 core processors, up to 15 terabytes of storage space. And this company, Digital Storm, is partnered with NVIDIA and partnered with AMD. And they have the ability to take out all the bloat stuff and completely customize this PC to make it exactly what you want it to be. I mean, the specific type of RAM, if you want those cool RGB fans that turn different colors, if you want, they'll custom build this thing to your exact specifications, liquid cooled or fan cooled and of course optimized for all of these things that I use, After Effects, Premiere Pro, and let me tell you that this thing is an absolute beast. I actually built it to also include a Thunderbolt port. You can build this PC, this Windows PC, to have a Thunderbolt port, which is what I did because, again, I'm trying to future proof as much as I can. Now, this thing was an investment. However, it was still less expensive than some of the already built powerhouse PCs, and that includes Mac as well. And I mean no offense by that, but I prefer a PC. So I decided to go with Digital Storm and build my custom PC and add the Thunderbolt 3 connectivity, just in case I still wanted to explore my options for interfaces or anything else in the future. So I'm very, very happy with my PC. This is pretty much what mine looks like on the inside. It is liquid cooled. Does have fans as well. And I've upgraded it for 64 gigs of RAM. And, I think there's like 2 or 3 terabytes of storage. I love this thing. I mean, you can also control the fan speeds on it as well. So you can make them super quiet or you can make them, just run normally. But this thing is just super cool. I really, really enjoy it. So, long story short, no matter what computer you choose, try to think ahead. If you're going to go out and buy a brand new computer, try to look ahead as far as what you might be getting into. What kind of services are you going to offer? What kind of processing speed are you going to need to multitask with all of these things? But to start, make sure that your computer has a USB port for your USB mic. And then eventually, if you move into an XLR mic, like my Sennheiser, then you're going to need, a USB port or a USB-C port for your interface, because there are still a lot of USB interfaces, but there's also now more and more USB-C connectivity with almost everything. If you've noticed, everything's kind of going that direction. So just think about future-proofing yourself. If you're going to make an investment in a new computer for your voiceover business, just try to look ahead. Try to think about the equipment that you're going to want to buy and make sure that you have the proper processing speed, the proper ports and connections types that you're going to need. And if, personally speaking, I would have started out with a more powerful computer, because I run a lot of, I process a lot of videos, I do a lot of video work, I do a lot of multitasking throughout the day with multiple applications in Adobe, doing different things for different people all day long. So I needed a lot of horsepower. But to start, I would say something with at least 8 to 16 gigs and a decent amount of storage, although you can always use an external hardware or external hard drive as well to store your stuff on, which I would recommend anyway, because you definitely don't want to be working on a large project and then have your computer crash and then you lose everything. So always back up, always save to a hard drive. But I'm rambling. So I hope this video helped you make a decision on what kind of computer to buy. And again, I don't have any problem with Macs. I'm just personally a PC person, but Mac has a lot of great options as well if you want to go that route. Almost all of the software that you want to, or that you will need going forward as a voice actor or audiobook narrator, will have either a PC version or a Mac version. So there's no problems with not being able to get one versus the other. It's just really a matter of preference and future-proofing yourself if you're going to go out and buy one. So I hope this video helps. I'm rambling again. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want more information about me, be sure to visit my website, voiceoverangela.com. I've got a ton of information there as far as, what other types of gear that I recommend to get you started. I have a membership program. I do live streams for them every Monday. If you want to help support my channel, I would really appreciate it. You have the ability down below to buy me a coffee. I would run an IV drip of the stuff if I could. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.